Hello, everyone, and I hope wherever you are today that you are blessed and doing well. My name is Randy Anderson. I'm a member of the corporate team here at Modexus, and I have the opportunity today to have a conversation with the founder of our Product Research Council, Dr. Charles Rouse. So Dr. Rouse is in Albany, Georgia. We're going to go ahead and bring him in so he can say hello. Dr. Rouse, how are you today?
Hey, Randy, and it's a love of my heart to be a part of Modexus, the family of Modexus.
Well, we certainly love you too, sir. And I'm excited about today because I've actually heard you over the years. We've been around each other for just a minute, and I've heard you over the years do this. I don't know if you call it a lecture or this talk before, and I've always found it just fascinating. So, the title today is Chemistry 101, All That Glitters is gold. And I will tell you, here at Modexus, we're all about delivering the gold. But this will be an interesting conversation. I think it's one that all of you will enjoy. So, Dr. Rouse, take it away. The floor is yours, sir.
Hey, yeah, it's a pleasure. And you know what? I agree with Randy. Modexus fits the gold standard because they don't mess around. Chemistry 101. Dr. Charlie is a scientist. I mean, from a time I was a kid, when my mama would ask me what I want for Christmas, I said, I want a chemistry set or a microscope. Or I've always been inclined towards science. Every time I took an aptitude test, the schools would say, you need to go down the road of science. So off I went, and chemistry was one of those passions. Biology, microbiology, anything with the science in it. Now, as a scientist, here's a little profile of who we are in science. Everything in science falls into categories: time, force, energy, space, or matter. Time, force, energy, space, or matter. And you know what? The most read Bible verse in all the world, and I'm talking about atheists, agnostics, other religions, they've read this. If they get a hold of the Bible, they'll open it to the first page, and they'll read the first sentence if they don't read anything else in the book. In the beginning, that's time. God, that's the force of the universe. Created, that's all the energy that God put into it. And he says he created the heavens, the space, and the earth. That's matter. So I always looked at it as a scientist and said, you know, God said it, that settles it, and I'm part of it. So I'm just a blessed man to be a part of it. So in science, Chemistry 101, what is that? NaCl. NaCl. Everything has letters and stands for words. Na is sodium. Cl is chloride. Sodium chloride. Now think about that. Salt, plain ordinary salt. But did you know that the sodium element, the element sodium all by itself, is exceedingly toxic to the heart? You could inject sodium into your veins and stop your heart from beating instantly. So people have to be very careful with the solution and the dilution and everything about it. And look at the chloride molecule. I mean, during World War II, the enemy killed 6 million Jews with a chlorine molecule. So it's a very deadly thing, isn't it? Sodium salt, deadly. Chloride salt, exceedingly deadly. But yet, when the molecules are mixed together, only God can do that. When the molecules are mixed together, it makes everything taste better, doesn't it? I couldn't eat grits or eggs without it. I just need it. But a while ago, I was back in the back getting my lunch prepared, and this fell out of the plastic fork. It just says salt, doesn't it? Right there. So you would think that, wow, what am I about to sprinkle on my lunch? A little sodium chloride? I said, I can't believe it. Look what it says on the label. It says contains sodium silicoaluminate. That's ground up aluminum. I don't know about you, but I ain't putting no aluminum intentionally in my body because that causes dementia out the who knows what. And I guarantee you that I don't want any yellow prussiate of soda because I'm an organic chemist and I used to mess around with yellow prussiate of soda, and we were cautious with that. What in the world are they doing putting that in a salt packet? Oh, they say it's got to be in there because that paper will let the moisture in and the salt will clump. Well, you can forget that because let me tell you, everything chemistry ain't so. And they're messing with us. This world is toxic and they're bringing in all kinds of things. In chemistry, CHO, those are the three most common chemicals: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Now look at it. Hydrogen and oxygen are invisible, tasteless, odorless. But you know that carbon molecule, have you ever used carbon paper? Most of you youngins wouldn't know what carbon paper is, but back in the old days, when we'd want to duplicate something, we'd put a piece of paper with a carbon paper and a piece of paper, and it would write through. But carbon is black and sooty and dirty, and you have to be very careful to get the black all over everything, ruin whatever you were writing. But let me show you something. CHO, it's a neat thing. An invisible and a tasteless and an odorless oxygen and a hydrogen blended together with a sooty carbon. But in the end result, the chemistry comes out marvelous because you know what CHO stands for? Sugar. Glucose. It makes your tea sweet. It's what makes your cookies and your pies just right. And so only God can do that. Only God can do that. He's the author of all chemistry. What's this molecule? It's called dihydrogen, two hydrogens, dihydrogen monoxide. I know you don't call it dihydrogen monoxide. You call it plain, ordinary, simple water. But look, that hydrogen molecule, although it's tasteless, odorless, and invisible, and the oxygen molecule is tasteless, odorless, and invisible, did you know that they have built an atomic bomb with the hydrogen molecule? So powerful, it'll blow up a whole city. And yet oxygen, oxygen, in the presence of fire, flammability, they always say, when people are using oxygen as a medical, they say don't smoke or get around fire. And yet God can take the invisible, tasteless, odorless hydrogen that could blow up the world and oxygen that could set the fire on fire. And when he blends the two together, dihydrogen monoxide, put out the quench your thirst and heart. Only God can do that. In the world of blood, red blood cells, hemoglobin. Your red blood cells are made of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, iron, and sulfur. Everybody's the same. Everybody's red blood cell is made up of 3,032 atoms of carbon, 4,812 atoms of hydrogen, 780 atoms of nitrogen, 880 atoms of oxygen, only 4 elements of iron, and 12 elements of sulfur. But did you know that each one of those atoms, each one of those molecular mineral configurations, they have to hook to its neighbor precisely in exactly the right proportion? And that's the reason you have red blood cells, because only God can do that. There's no way you can mix in a test tube all those different molecules and put it in exactly the right proportion. And yet your red blood cells with the DNA molecules is different from anybody else's red blood cells. You are precisely built with the exact molecule, but your DNA is different. In genetics, they started looking at now in 500,000 genes, which is a bunch to me, you could fit 500,000 genes inside a hole the size of a pinpoint. Only God can do that. The world is getting very smart, but yet on the God side, they're very dumb. truth is that DNA is the master of the whole inside of the human body. That DNA, that deoxyribonucleic acid, controls the whole life cycle. And let me tell you something. God created your human body to be taken care of by God's creation. And when you get into God's creation, away from man-made technology, away from man-made science, the chemistry of God is orchestrated to make things happen in the human body. So when Randy says, at Modexus, we follow the gold standard, we do. We follow what was in the creation to start with. And when we bring it in, we don't mess with it. We don't tear it apart and throw away stuff. It's all in the molecules as God prescribed it, blending it together. And in that process, we're able to make a statement that medicine can't make: do no harm, because God made you and God made it. And it's a pleasure to work with a company that sees the value of good chemistry. There's a lot of junk science out there, but I promise you this: when you take the Dinas and the Allens and the Charlies and the Modexus Research Council, we're looking at it through the eyes of chemistry. And if they try to brush something past us and we know it ain't right, it's gone. What you're going to get in any product at Modexus is going to be the world's best, the world's cleanest, and in the right percentages of the right milligrams, because your body is designed by God. And we want to make sure that you're as healthy as you can be. Chemistry 101. I love it. How about that, Randy?
Wow, that is all I can say. And, I don't need to add a whole lot to this other than I agree with you. Only God can do what God does. And it's absolutely amazing. I love it when you do this talk. It's really, really gets me thinking about a lot of things. And yes, we do follow nature. We do follow creation and everything we do. And we can then say, we do no harm, and it's 100% fact. So, and Dr. Rouse, I want to thank you on behalf of all of Modexus for following your God-given calling as well, to be a scientist, to be a doctor of natural medicine, to be a pharmacist, because you certainly have blessed thousands and thousands of lives. And as we are growing this company, that number is only going to continue to grow. Dr. Rouse, thank you today for spending some time with us and sharing your knowledge. And to all of you that have listened, I hope you've enjoyed this. Listen to it again. Make sure you follow us on YouTube. Go over there, hit a thumbs up, like the videos you listen to. Drop a comment is even better. Just let us know that you like the content that we're creating for all of you. So that's all for now. Dr. Rouse, thank you. And to all of you listening, we sure do appreciate you. We do love our advocates and customers here at Modexus. That's all for now. Take care, everyone.